Hi, my name is Asif Khan, and in today's session, we will be talking about Amazon EventBridge. So Amazon EventBridge is a very powerful service from the AWS ecosystem. So as we know that AWS has 300 plus odd services, which are very much like a Lego blocks. Now you can use these services in conjunction with each other and build a solution. With the new world implementation of microservices, decoupled architecture, it has become really challenging to how to connect these services. So what Amazon EventBridge provides is it provides a unified connectivity capability so that you can connect the services in AWS ecosystem as well as much more. So coming to the AWS Amazon EventBridge homepage, what we can see is on the source side, you basically provide AWS services as your source, or it can be a custom app, it can be a SaaS app, it can be a microservices. Now, on the destination side, it can be, again, the number of different AWS services like Lambda, SNS, or API destinations, and things like that. So what is required as a mandate is this particular schema, which is a structured format of data which you will be sending from these sources. Now, once that structured format of data is sent, it is pumped into a EventBridge bus, and then from there, we provide different rules. Now, these rules are basically a JSON pattern which we provide so that the rule is basically executed on top of the incoming event, and based on the rules which are valid, the data is processed according to that rule. And then in the rule, you define what's your target destination, and that's where the particular event is published. So on the implementation side, if we go, so in today's session, we will be firstly looking at this what on the console experience of EventBridge and stuff, but also we'll run a demo. So I'll quickly run you through the demo. It's a simple demo implementation. I have a Python code, which is my client instead of a AWS service or a SaaS application. I've used a Python code. What I do from there is I publish a custom event, and that custom event goes into the EventBridge bus. From the EventBridge bus, I have connected couple of two rules. So one rule basically is more about it sends the event to a target of Lambda. The other rule is it sends the event to SQS. So it's very simple in that sense, but yeah, this is basically end-to-end flow of my current demo. As I was talking about EventBridge, EventBridge has a number of other capabilities. So there are things like EventBridge pipes, so which is more about if you want to filter, enrich, transform your data or the events which are coming in. And again, it can come from a number of different sources. You can do that in EventBridge pipes, and then you can send it to the destination. Third is more about scheduling. So scheduling is more, let's say, if you want to shut down your EC2 instances at the end of the day and you have written a simple Lambda to do that because it's a dev environment, then yeah, you can schedule that Lambda to be triggered by EventBridge on the regular interval which you want. So it has all the three capabilities, but today we will be focusing on only the event bus option, which is available in EventBridge. So on the Python code side, as I said, I have a Python client which I have. I'm just using simple Bodo, and then what I have is this is the schema. So because I'm sending a custom data set, custom event. So that's why I just use the defined schema from EventBridge, which EventBridge accepts, and then I provide my details in the data format over here. So that's my JSON payload, which I am sending. But on top of it, I am providing some details like a detail type, event bus name, time, source. Now, just be focused on these two particular properties because this is what I'll explain more when we go into the filter or the rule side. So I have a source user event and then I have a detail type as user preference. Now coming into the console, I have created a simple event bus. So this is my event bus, and obviously you have option over here where you can create the event from the console itself. You don't need a client. In my case, I've just created a Python client to do the same. But over here, I have an event bus. If I want to create a new one, you just provide the name. And then there are a couple of other features like schema discovery and archiving. I'll talk you through what archiving is. It's a good feature which is available in Event Bridge bus. So this is our bus. Next, we go to the rules. So we have a couple of managed and standard rules. So if I go into my standard rule, what I have done is I've created a simple standard rule, and just be mindful that every rule is aligned to a specific bus. So it's a one-to-one mapping. So event bus has a particular, so this is my event bus, WL customer bus, which is over here, WL customer bus. And that particular event is mapped to this WL customer rule. Now in this rule, what, as I said, we basically provide a JSON schema as an event pattern. I have provided this, and this is my source and detail type. So coming back to my code, so as you can see, we have the source and event type, detail type, and the detail type is user preferences, and the source is event, user event. So over here, I have the same pattern, user event and user preferences, and that's my source. That's my schema pattern, which this particular rule will expect. And if the event has that particular pattern, then it will send it to the destination. So that's where we go into the target. So I have an EventBridge Lambda, which is my target for this particular rule. So if I come into the Lambda, it is pretty simple. I'm just extracting out the event, and then I get the username, city, and age. So if I come back to my code, so I have a username, city, and age. So that's what I extract it out, and then that's what goes into a CloudWatch log. Coming back to my rules, so if I get into the rule, my standard rules, and the second one is SQS. So over here I have the source same, but in the detail type I have just added a hyphen SQS. So if the event has a pattern with the detail type as user preference hyphen SQS, then it will basically send it to the different target. Now in this case, the target is SCADA queue. So if I come into my SQS, so this is my SQS, and I have a queue named Keda queue. And at this stage, the queue is pretty empty. If I poll, it doesn't show anything. So obviously there's no data at this stage, that's why there's nothing. And if I go into my CloudWatch log, because that's where my logs will be written for this Lambda. So I have a log group with the name of EventBridge Lambda. And at this stage, the last logs were from 29th of March. So today is 4th of April. So yeah, nothing over there. So no smoking mirrors. So let's come back into our code, and I'll just run this script, which would basically send the event with the payload of detail type as user preference. So technically, this should go to my Lambda. So if I type Python 3, and my name is send, and if I send this, so once it will basically send the particular payload into my EventBridge queue. So something went wrong. Let me just check. So what went wrong is basically I have my event bus name as my bus, which was a sample code I used from the documentation, AWS documentation. So obviously my bus name is different. So if I come over here, so that's my bus name, WL customer bus. If I come over here, that's the bus name. So that's what I think so was the mistake. Let's try it again. And let's come over here and say send message. Hopefully that should send the message to our bus. And we have error again, or maybe because yep, maybe that was not saved. Let's try it again. Because it says event my bus, so it's still picking the old name. Yep, again there's a problem. Okay, let me just check that, and yeah, we'll try that. Yep, so there was a problem in the client itself. I won't open this because I have my keys and stuff in that, but yeah, in the client you provide your bus name. So the bus name which you provide over here is less relevant because the client itself I have already provided there. If you don't, yeah, then yep. So I'll just retry maybe. Hopefully this time it works. So I've already logged in using my credentials and accounts. So again, it shows some error. So there was some issues with my AWS config settings, and obviously in my client I didn't set the right region. Just to correct myself, the event bus name is what we provide in the payload itself. So obviously this is where we provide our payload. So what I'll do now is I'll just run the script. Just tested it, it does work. So yeah, basically the event is gone. So at this stage, because it's a user preferences, it should go into the Lambda. So if I come into the monitoring, I should see some activities to have happened over here. Yep, so there is something which has happened over here. And then if I go into the logs, so if I go to CloudWatch logs, refresh this, So I can see, yep, so I can see Sam's Sydney 42 has come in. Just to revalidate, let's say we change the age to 43 and we save it and we run it again. So the event has gone, and if I go back to, so that is around 1402, that's 202, 1402, come back, let's refresh, so it's still 1402, but if we come in, yep, so 1404, and we have 43 which has come in, so it means that our particular rule which we have set up does work pretty well. So if I come back, so that was our default rule. So that's the rule which we had earlier, which goes to the lambda. Now let's test the rule with the SQS. So what I'll do is I'll just go and change my code, and so if I just come over here, and what I'll do is I'll just add this additional SQS. And if I save it, if I run it now, so if I come back to my queue, I poll it, nothing happens. So there's no message in the queue. Come back into my code. The file is saved, hopefully. Yep. Run it again. So that goes into the bus, and it should have gone through this. Uh, So at this stage, yeah, on the monitoring side, it should start to appear. But again, it takes some time, as we know, the CloudWatch logs receive the logs after some interval. It's not in pure real time. So let's go into the queue. Let's rerun the queue. And yep, so now we can see there is a message which has come in. It should be 43. We can come back over here, maybe change the age to 44, and if we run this again, so that should basically send another message, and you can see it's already received. So if I click on the 7, so that's my 44 age which has come in. So as you can see, it is a very seamless experience because all the magic is done in the middle by the rules, and you don't have to bother. Now let's talk about the use case where this can be useful. So think about a situation where you might be having quite a number of different data sources. So let's say we have this is our first data source, that's our second data source, and yeah, just yeah. So if I select, and that's a third data source. Now within this, we have all the data sources sending the data to our EventBridge. So that's data source 1, data source 2, and data source n. And all the different data sources are providing the message or providing the event to EventBridge bus. Now, what can be and this can be your central integration layer. So what happens is all the messages come in. Let's say um, for others, we have our message with whatever things, and then what we say is in the details, we say it is data set 1, and same goes for this. So in this we have all the different attributes, properties, and then in the detail we say it's data set 2, and in the bus we are getting all these messages. So all these messages are pumping in over here. What we do is we just write those rules. So the rule 1 will be for DS1, and the rule 2 would be the DS2. And on the destination side, we can just point to the right targets. So we have, this is target 1, this is target 2, and we will just point the DS1 to target 1, DS2 to target 2. Now, if you look at this in a holistic way, see the level of flexibility you get. So tomorrow, if let's say you want to onboard a new data source. So let's take you have DSY. You basically just add in a new rule. So rule for DSY, and then you will define your target, and that will be the target for your rule. So if you look at the implementation, my only change required to implement a new data set or data source will be additional rule. That's it. And the data source starts to pump in the message, and then our rule just does the magic from there. So yeah, as I said, it's a very powerful tool. Now, if we explore a little bit more, what we have is we have in the bus, there is an archive avenue as well, and then there's a replay option. Now, what archive does is just like if you have come across Kafka, which is very like obviously the biggest and the most popular eventing platform available. So it's open source as well. So Kafka provides the same model. So you publish the events and then you can replay them at any point of time. What we can do with this is in the archive, you can create a new archive, and then obviously you just provide the source. So at this stage, let's say our bus is the source. So any messages going from the bus after this would all be available in the archive. So I can put a retention period as well. Again, that is all based on your discretion, and as it says, it can be from 0, which is equal to indefinite, to the maximum is 2 billion days. So again, that's a pretty big number. And then if let's say tomorrow you have some issues, you can start to basically replay this event from the archive, and that would basically, so if I go in here, I can say, yeah, I want to replay, and then also I can provide a date range. So let's say during the processing, there was an error which happened at midnight. I don't want to replay everything, but I want to replay anything between 11:55 and 1:01, and that's what I can provide the range. And then my archive will use that particular range. It will replay the event, and the good part is when we do the replay, the source is obviously our archive source, which is bus, and the destination will be our bus, or if you want to target it to any other bus, it can be done as well. But the good part is you don't have to write anything because the buses still have all the logics. What you have is on the destination side, if you would have made some code changes or something, the bus will start to stream the messages for that duration which you have selected into the bus. From the bus, it will go to the rule, and rule it will go to your particular new code base or new code change which you have made, and that would fix the problem. So it's pretty seamless in that sense as well. So what I recommend is, as you know, that EventBridge is pretty powerful in respect to what all you can do with it, and specifically building a decoupled architecture. I think it's definitely a way to go forward with. So yeah, just give it a try. It's pretty simple, as you can see. I'll put all this small code which I've written into GitHub. You can download it from there. You don't even need to write the code stuff. Just use it, run the demo, and yeah, it would be a good experience, and you can help get yourself help in the future projects which you'll do. Thanks a lot for the session, and please do let me know for any feedbacks. Thank you.